Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Bree Buonomo. So I took a small break from YouTube videos and it hasn't been a long break in some ways, but I definitely kind of cut back on my content. So if this is the first video you're seeing from me, welcome. There's a whole backlog of like 300 some videos, but today is just my monthly catch up where I tell you all the things I did in the month prior. So in this case, it's in April. I talk about the books I read, the things I wrote, and some personal life tidbits. And because I took a small break from YouTube, I, in theory, have a lot to share with you, but in reality, it's not a lot. I did a lot of things, but most of the things I did had to relate to one or two tasks. You know, there were a lot of steps to get there. So anyway, I'm back for a video and I have a vanilla lavender latte that I made at home. And I'm so excited to talk with you guys about my April. So let's get into it. First up, we have the books I read in the month. And I feel like this is crazy because I did start quite a few books, but I only completed 2. But both of them were pretty large. One was a behemoth in a lot of ways. So let's talk about the 2 books I finished. I started and finished Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor this past month. And this has been one that has been on my TBR forever. I actually read Strange the Dreamer years ago. Loved it. It was slow, but I loved the world, I loved the writing. And then I bought this series because I'm like, well, I loved that book so much, and my friend kept hyping this up. So long story short, this sat on my shelf. But it won for my book club pick, and I was like, finally, I get to read this book. And oh gosh, I struggle. I gave this a 3.75. Maybe it's a 4, but I just didn't love half of this book. The first half I was invested in. I thought there was a really cool mystery. I really liked the details of Prague and this girl's life where like we just don't know like anything really about her. We follow Karu and she is this person who lives in Prague but has kind of like a double life. Like she works among the humans and she's human, but then she can enter these doors that are portals to other worlds, and she has this whole fantasy family as well, and she does errands for this one goat-like being. He is a chimera, and that chimera has her going to collect teeth. And the first part of this book is like really kind of building up the mystery of like, what does he need the teeth for? And like, is Karu who she says she is, or is there more to her? Like, why, how did, like, you know, she has all these wishes and she's with these magical beings. There's a lot of questions and it's just really good. It sucked me right in and I was so fascinated. But then literally midway through the book, we get introduced to another character. He immediately disrupted the story for me. And I really wasn't jiving, especially because there is, and this could be a slight spoiler, so skip ahead like 30 seconds if you don't want to be spoiled, but this character is introduced and there is a bit of insta-love and there is a reason for it, but it just didn't work for me in the end. And then the second half of this book continues and it feels like we are in a different story. We are technically in a different story. We start the book in one place, and then once we get to the halfway point, there's a big reveal that happens, and then we go back in time. And the entirety of the second part of the book is leading up to the same spot where we got to in the midway point. And I just didn't like that. I wish it was interwoven, that the backstory was interwoven, and we wanted to know how these characters maybe were connected to each other or what their paths were, like anything like that, and it just wasn't like that. So I just lost a lot of interest, and it really took me a bit to get back into the story. And by the end I was kind of like, do I even care anymore? So I'm devastated because I own all 3 books, but I do think I'm going to continue with the series, at least the second one, to see if some of the questions I had at the end of this one are answered and maybe if the story gets a little bit better. But I will say that even though I own all 3, because it was a gift from my husband, a box set, if I don't like them, then I will be reselling them because I don't want to have them on my shelf if I'm not actually ever going to come back to the world. And it just made me sad because I really loved Strange the Dreamer and I had high hopes for this one. But at the end of the day, you know, that happens. We have a lot of expectations for a book and they don't pan out. Speaking of high expectations for books, I'm like afraid to even share this on the internet, but The Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson. I gave this a 3-star. This, man, I feel like there are so many things I do like. I like the characters. I like Vin and her trying to find her identity and like work with this duality of like being like a noblewoman for the first time in her life, but also being like a Mistborn and what that means. I liked the mystery of like the Well of Ascension, but it was too damn slow for me. This book is over 600 pages, and for what? For what? It was just, it dragged, and I would enjoy something and then it would just drag on for pages, or like I would, at some point, like things would drag on so long, like the mysteries would build too long for me, where like when the reveal finally happened, I really didn't care as much. And I was like, okay, that's nice. Next. There were some characters that got more chances to shine in this book. And I really like Ursula the Khandra. That was probably my favorite character in this whole book. And I really liked seeing all of his little nuances, and like the Khandra as a being is very interesting, and their ways, and I really liked learning all about that. That was probably my favorite part of this whole book, and that kept me engaged for a very long time. But the Sanderlanche, as everybody calls it, it was fine. It definitely had some emotional hits for me at the end of this book, but again, I do not feel like we needed to take that long to get there, because at that point, like, I was losing interest. So I didn't feel like as emotionally impacted. And it did the fucking thing that I don't like fantasy books to do. And I'm not going to spoil it because it's the second book and it's the end of the book. But there's a big thing at the end where I'm just like, are we serious? Like, you just hit me with this emotional impact and then you're going to take it away. Why are we doing this? Yeah, I just, it was okay. Like, I had a good time. It's, you know, 3 stars is not a bad book, but it just didn't, I think my expectations were so high for this to really hit it out of the park, and everybody talks about how much they love it. So I just didn't love it as much as I thought I was going to. And it took me 2 months to read this book, and I had to try to read it physically. I got the ebook from the library and I got the audiobook from the library just to try to make it to my book club, because I was taking that long to read it. Took me 2 months. I do not feel like that, like if I was really invested in it, I probably would have read it faster, right? Like, are we in agreement with that? Because 2 months seems like a very long time to power through 600 pages, in my opinion. And I was doing every avenue, which is why I only read 2 books this whole month, because I could not get through this fast enough. Yeah, I'm so sorry, Sanderson fans. Maybe other books will do it. I really love Tress of the Emerald Sea. That was the first book I read from him. So far, it is still my favorite. So yeah, maybe the 3rd book, because it's still in my book club, I will really like that book. Maybe that'll be the book for me in this series. And yeah, if you guys are interested in joining the book club to read The Hero of Ages, the link is down below. We are probably going to meet to discuss that at the end of June, early July. So maybe you guys can join us for that. And that was it. I literally started 3 other books. 1 book made me mad right off the gate. Like, I think I listened to maybe 2 hours of the book and I was furious, and I put that down. I'm going to come back to it because I've read their whole series. It's the last book. So I'll talk about that later at some point, maybe next month, maybe the month later, but I will finish it. The other book I paused so I could try to finish Sanderson in time for my book club. And then I started a 3rd book near the end of the month, so I just didn't get very far enough to talk about it. But yeah, what a weird month it was for me reading, and maybe the internet's gonna hate me now because I just killed their beloved darlings. So that was all the books to talk about. So let's talk about some writing things. The biggest thing that I focused on in April was Project Vampire. If you haven't watched my massive vlog of RevPit, please go do so. But I had entered, revise, and resubmit a contest that is based on mentoring authors to get their book into tip-top shape. And I think I did fairly well. You know, I think it was a gamble because, one, I didn't query this book. So I really didn't like have failures at this point. And that's where a lot of people come to this for, is like they are not having success for it. So they're entering it to see like what they could improve in. But despite that, I was shortlisted by one of the editors, and she just gave me such good feedback. And even after my vlog ended, I asked a few other questions and she provided more feedback, and it really made me feel good because she did such a great balance of like, you have good things here, but this is how you can make them just a little bit better when you're querying. So I feel really good going into my third draft of Vampire, which I did officially start in April. I do have a timeline, and I am now working with CPs. So I have a very tight timeline to be able to get this turnaround and to be able to query by September. But the good thing is because I did that contest, I now have pretty much a full query package ready to go. I have a synopsis, I have a query letter, I have a tagline, I have a novel, right? Like, I will be good. The only thing that I could really do in the next couple months is start to gather a list of agents, because I had one when I was querying fantasy. Some of them accept horror, but not all of them. So I have been adding some new names to my list. I joined a Discord group from RevPit where we're talking and sharing resources. So I'm gathering a lot of new agents and new materials, and I earned myself a new CP, which I'm very excited about. We are doing a horror swap. And yeah, we're gonna be back into crunch time with writing, because my current timeline is draft 3 needs to be turned over and given, like, my CPs have to read it by the end of June. I'm currently going into this draft with what I feel like I need to change, and with their feedback, I can kind of pull it. I have 3 CPs. I can pull their information, and then with draft 4, tighten everything up. Like, what do I need to expand on? Where do I need to clarify things? Like, what maybe makes things kind of icky or sound weird, all that kind of stuff. Because I think by draft 4, I will feel good. And if I start querying and I don't really see success places, the one editor from RevPit did offer me a 25% discount on editing services. So I could always do a developmental edit with her if I book that by the end of the year. So I have some options out in the world for me to be able to really hone this book and get it to where it needs to be. A large chunk of my personal life has delayed some of these CP swaps that I've been doing. And also, I decided to join Camp RevPit, which is just like kind of like a motivation camp where we could swap ideas and share stuff about our novels, and we could do different swaps. So there's like a first 5 pages, there's a positivity 5-page pass, a query pass. And I decided to sign up for all 3. And I think I was a little overwhelmed with how many tasks I took on for myself. But I think they're all worth it. I got new eyes on my query letter. I got new eyes on my first page. So I have a lot of feedback to start pulling from, which is great. So I'm just excited about where I'm going with this project, and I really do feel passionate about it. So I'm so excited. Plus, all of the vampire media is like out and coming out, and I'm living for this. I love all the vampire books. I love the vampire movies. I haven't seen Sinners yet, but I am going this coming weekend. Once you guys see this, I will be seeing Sinners the weekend after. So very excited for all these things. And that gives me a lot of hope for this book too, because I think it has good potential out there. And I just need to find the right agent who will champion it. I also submitted some work again. I submitted 2 samples of my writing to an annual contest. So I will leave it linked down below in case you're interested. I'll leave the Instagram, because Once Upon a Book Club is a book box, and every year in like April, they put out a call for authors, and anybody can sign up to this program. The window is open until May 11th, and they only want a sample of your writing. So I did 2 samples because I write horror and fantasy, so I did a sample of each in different emails, but I went ahead and submitted that, and they have a couple different directions, but basically like they will pick somebody from the pool of entrants, and 12 people will get to write a short story for their Christmas advent calendar box. So it'll be like 12 stories written by 12 different authors, and they all get a prompt. So that's why it doesn't matter what you write in, and it's not going to be a Christmas story necessarily. It's just, here's a prompt and you have to write a short story, and then it goes through edits and all of that. So I did this the last 2 years. The first year I submitted, they said that I made it pretty far into the ranking, but I ultimately wasn't picked. Last year, I only submitted a horror sample, and maybe that was to my detriment. So they just said thank you for entering. So I decided to enter both because I didn't know that was an option. So I entered a fantasy and a sample from my vampire book. Hello, puppy girl. So the window closes on May 11th. I will know if I got picked or not the week after. So they have a pretty quick turnaround, which is great. So yeah, that's where we're at with all the writing. I mean, I guess I did a decent amount, even though it feels like I didn't, because I've done 3 different swaps. I have been working on 2 critique partners' works and working on my own. So it has been a very eventful month. And last but not least, we have some personal life stuff. So I will say, as I already alluded to, I had a couple things that were all tied together. And namely, that was preparing for one of my besties' wedding. So I had a lot of stuff to do, like getting my measurements taken to get a bridesmaid's dress. I had to help plan the bridal shower, and I was in charge of the games. So I was creating games mostly from scratch and printing things off and doing a whole heck of a lot of that stuff and helping with the shower decorations and favors. I was also planning the bachelorette party. I did the entire itinerary, plus made a bunch of cute graphics for it. So I had my hands full between March and April doing all of that. And we had the bridal shower at the end of the month, and it was beautiful, and everything went off very well. And next is the bachelorette party and then the wedding. So things are coming along pretty well with that. But yeah, I kept myself very busy with all of that planning. I also tried to find a little bit of time to do some watching TV, movies. We actually only watched 1 movie last month, which was pretty surprising because I like movies, but I do need to watch them with someone or else I won't sit still to watch them. So because of that, we only watched 1, and that was The Founder, which is the story of how McDonald's became the mega corporation that it is. And it was very well done. The performances were excellent, I'm not gonna lie, but it made me profoundly sad. Like ending that movie and seeing where the original founders of McDonald's were like pushed out of their own company broke my heart. And I will say that obviously like the man who ended up like overtaking McDonald's and creating it the empire that it is, like he was clearly a very smart man and knew how to maneuver things around and had connections to make this all work. But man, it was very sad. It's a good movie. I guess you can call it like a biopic, right? It's a biography about the founder of McDonald's as we know it today. But yeah, it was great. Michael Keaton's in it, and I do love him. So I would recommend. As far as TV shows go, we binged the entirety, all 3 seasons of The White Lotus. I get the hype. I get it. It's excellent. I had no idea what it was about going into it. I just know that people like it a lot. I had no idea. Like it a lot. I think the first season was my favorite because of the misdirections that were going on, but ultimately all 3 seasons have been really good, and I hope that the rating continues to be this strong. We also started The Studio on Apple TV, and it's not over yet, so I won't talk too much about it, but I didn't think I was gonna like it. I was like, it just doesn't seem like maybe it's me. And then I'm like, wow, I do like to know behind the scenes of like Hollywood, and I also like to see like the chaos that it is. But yeah, I don't know. It was interesting. I found that it's a very smart show as well. Like the different pictures and stuff, like the titles will go with what's going on in the show. It's clever and I like it. And then we haven't really gotten far, but we did start the first episode of Yellow Jackets, which I feel like is another one where people lose their mind over, and I get it. 1 episode already, and I'm like, man, I want to watch more of that. That was good. So I don't know how much we're going to be able to see. I don't have Showtime, but the first season was on Netflix, so we watched the first episode. We'll probably continue. And yeah, I'm invested in that one too. So I do love a good survival story with a little touch of horror, and I did not know I was going to get that with this show, you know? That's pretty much my entirety of like the media watched. I haven't really watched a lot. I have been listening to more music. Lady Gaga's Mayhem album has been on repeat. I also, for the first time last month, listened to Dove Cameron's debut, Alchemical, Volume 1. A masterpiece. There's not a flop on that entire album, and I'm so devastated that she's not listened to more. Like Lethal Woman, starting that album off with Lethal Woman, oh my god, I get chills. I love that song, but there's so many, like still a great album. If you guys have not listened to Alchemical Volume 1 by Dove Cameron, do yourself a favor, go listen to it. It's like pop, goth pop, like EDM tones to it. Very solid. So yeah, I think that's it. The beginning of the month like started out rough because of some personal life issues, but I do think we are ending it on a higher note and the sun is shining. I now have an e-bike, so I get to do mountain biking and e-biking this summer, and I'm very excited for that. And I hope that I can do some mountain biking with my godmother and e-biking with my husband and just be outdoors as much as I was last year. I'm so excited for May. There's a lot happening in that month as well. And hopefully I'll have a lot more updates in the next month. So let me know down below how your April was. Let me know what your best part or your favorite part of the month was. And if nothing else, just leave me a little tulip emoji because we are in spring and everything is blooming and I am just living for all the life coming back to the land. So thank you so much for watching, and until next time, I'll see you then. Bye.